The FedLife podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve. Ed Zerndorfer is our guest and federal benefits expert in the space.
Hello and welcome, everyone, to this episode of the FedLife podcast. If you don't know me, I'll introduce myself. I'm your host, Dan Sipe. Additionally, I'm the branch manager here at Serving Those Who Serve and Lee Sipe Associates, and I'm actually the founder of Serving Those Who Serve. I'm going to begin, as I always do, by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, but also, above all, thank you for your service to the government, to the country, to me, to everyone. In normal times, you don't hear it enough. These are not normal times, so you're definitely not hearing it. You're always going to hear it here. We appreciate you. We're not the only ones who do. Take heart in that. The other thing that you're always going to hear here is the guru, Ed Zerndorfer. He is back with us once again as part of our ongoing mission, which is to reach, teach, and serve you, the career civilian feds. So again, if you're new, we follow Ed's FedZone articles. What's FedZone? That's our expansive blog library. Ed writes every single week in there. You can find that at fed-zone.com. So we amplify some select ones as one more way for us to reach and teach. So if you're an auditory learner, we've got you. If you're a visual learner, we got you. If you're a reader, we have you. Okay. So Ed, it has been a year of turmoil for a lot of feds. But with regards to existing legislations, time marches on. And one of those legislations would be Secure 2.0, and in particular, a rule that probably went under the radar for a lot of our feds, which is a new rule regarding catch-up contributions within TSP, in this case, for high earners. So give us some background on that.
Yes, Dan. Back in 2022, Secure Act 2.0 was passed, and there were many provisions in Secure Act 2.0. One of which is that, and this was the original legislation, effective January 1st, 2024, those individuals who are contributing to qualified retirement plans, which include 401k plans, 403b plans, 457 plans, and the TSP. The TSP is really not classified as a qualified retirement plan. It has many of the features of qualified retirement plans, but for this purpose, it is a qualified retirement plan for what I'm going to talk about. That those employees who are age 50 and older, who make catch-up contributions, that starting January 1st, 2024, that all catch-up contributions have to be made to the Roth account, not to the traditional TSP account, a traditional account. For the TSP, we're talking about making contributions. An employee who is 50 or older, at least 50 or older at the end of any year, is eligible to make catch-up contributions. Like, for example, in 2025, the catch-up contribution is $7,500. That's in addition to the regular contribution limit of $23,500. So an employee age 50 or older this year can contribute a maximum $31,000 to the TSP. Those contributions to the TSP can be made to the traditional TSP, to the Roth TSP, or a combination of both. That's this year. But starting January 1st, 2026, federal employees who are age 50 and older, who are eligible to make catch-up contributions, that the catch-up contributions have to be made to the Roth TSP. They cannot make it to the traditional TSP. That is, whatever the limit's going to be next year for catch-up contributions. It might be $7,500, might be more. So the catch-up contributions have to be made to the traditional TSP. Now, as I said a few moments ago, originally, this provision coming out of Secure Act 2.0 was supposed to take effect on January 1st, 2024. But there were a lot of complaints from payroll processes, from private industry, from federal payroll. We don't have time to implement this.
Gotcha.
We need more time. We need more guidance. And the IRS agreed. So the IRS said, okay, let's extend this new provision, make it effective January 1st, 2026. And this past January 10th, 2025, the IRS issued proposed regulations that facilitate the implementation and operations of the provisions passed as part of this change in law. Okay, so therefore it will take effect January 1st, 2026. And we're talking about now to think about what does that mean? Who's going to be affected? Who's going to be affected? At the end, I'm going to bring up a question that I have that has not been answered yet regarding making catch-up contributions, because there's some employees who can make additional catch-up contributions. I'll talk about that in a moment. How they're going to be affected by that. Okay. All right. So that is some background information about this provision. This provision came out of Secure Act 2.0, and it will take effect as of January 1st, 2026.
Gotcha. Now, your article talks about two big takeaways. Walk us through those.
Okay. One takeaway is the fact that it will take effect on January 1st, 2026. There's always this thing. Will there be enough information? Will IRS get all the information out? It looks like they have, and it will take effect. The second takeaway is, when one says that they have to make their catch-up contributions have to go to the Roth TSP, what's the threshold in terms of high? Is it mostly this is only for high earners? Who are high earners? So what's going to be the threshold? So here is what IRS has said for payroll offices to know who, when employees making catch-up contributions to the Roth TSP, what is going to be the threshold, the earnings threshold to avoid if this employee has to make Roth TSP catch-up contributions? The answer is, if a federal employee during 2025 has Social Security wages, that's box 3 of W-2, Social Security wages, of $145,000 or more, then during 2026, their catch-up contributions have to be made to the Roth TSP.
Gotcha.
TSP. So employees should be aware of that. Now they'll say, I'm making my SF50 salary says $155,000. So does that mean I'm definitely going to have to make catch-up contributions to the Roth TSP in 2026? Not necessarily, because as I said a few moments ago, it is your box 3 Social Security wages. Remember, on a W-2, you have 3 boxes that indicate wages. Box 1 is taxable wages. Box 3, Social Security wages, and box 3 are Medicare wages.
Sure.
It is the box 3 Social Security wages. Social Security wages are not necessarily the same as taxable wages. And I have an example here. I have an example I'd like to share with you that came out in the paper. It came out in the column. We have an employee named Janet. She's over 50. She's actually 53 years old. And this year she's earning $175,000. $175,000. She's contributing $23,500 to the Roth TSP and $7,500 to the traditional TSP this year. Okay. Janet's FEHB health insurance premiums. She's enrolled in the federal employee health insurance. Dan, as you know, when you're enrolled in federal employee health insurance, program, an employee pays on average 25 to 28% of the premiums, no matter which health insurance plan they're in. Those premiums are deducted pre-tax from an employee's gross salary. It's called premium conversion. So, in this case here, her FEHB premiums this year are going to be totaling $8,000. That's what she's paying in premiums. That's her contributions. So her gross salary of $175,000 is now going to be reduced by $8,000 to $167,000. So that includes her taxable wages and her Social Security wages and her Medicare wages are all being reduced by $8,000. Okay, let's continue. Janet also is enrolled in a dental insurance plan offered through the Federal Employee Dental Vision Insurance, FedVip. She pays $3,000 in premiums. Those are also being deducted before all taxes, including Social Security. So now her wages will now be reduced from $167,000 to $164,000. That's her Social Security wages. Okay? And then she also has a flexible spending account. Healthcare FSA puts $3,300. That's also going to be reduced from her taxable wages, Social Security wages, and Medicare wages. Here's the bottom line. Janet's Social Security wages, after you take out all these premiums, are going to be reduced down to $153,200. Her taxable wages will be reduced an additional $7,500. She's putting $7,500 into her traditional TSP. That brings her below $145,000, right? $153,200 less $7,500 brings her down to less than $145,000. She's below the limit.
Gotcha.
But that's only for taxable wages. It doesn't count for Social Security wages. So her Social Security wages remained at $153,200. Therefore, she during 2026, her catch-up contributions have to be made to the Roth TSP.
Gotcha.
Now, what about her regular contributions? They can go to the Roth TSP or they can go to traditional TSP. But
Sure.
Her Roth TSP contributions have to go to the Roth TSP under the new rules.
So I think this is going to surprise some people, Ed.
Well, Dan, I agree, but high earners tend to have a complaint. They complain about something. They can't put money into the Roth IRA because the Roth IRA also has an adjusted gross income limitation. They're complaining to me, oh my God, here I'm a single person. I'm making it like Janet. She's earning $175,000. Her taxable wage is okay, $152,000. She's over the limit for making a Roth IRA contribution for 2025. She's not allowed to make a Roth IRA contribution because she's above the IRS limit for making for a single person to make a Roth IRA contribution. No matter what an employee's AGI is, a federal employee can always contribute to the Roth TSP.
Absolutely.
There is no limitation.
And the fact, I'll tell you, Ed, because we meet them every single day, thousands across the year. And biggest misconception out there, I can't do Roth TSP, I make too much money. And we fix that when we meet it. So again, folks, at the end of this, I'm going to ask you to share this stuff with people because folks are making decisions based on incomplete information.
Yeah. And I also get this complaint. I say, well, you can't do the Roth IRA. You can always convert a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. You can always do that.
Sure.
By the way, I can remember a time you couldn't do that.
I can remember it too.
Before 2010, if you had AGI over $100,000, you could not convert a traditional IRA to Roth IRA. In 2010, Congress got rid of that. But the fact of the matter is, People always like to put money into the Roth IRA. And I agree. I love the Roth IRA. There are a lot of reasons. Well, with the creation of the Roth TSP, that allows federal employees to put as much money into the Roth TSP up to the limits the contribution limits each year. And if they really want to get that Roth IRA, they can do a direct rollover of the Roth TSP into a Roth IRA. That's how they can fund their Roth IRA.
Sure.
This change in the law, in my opinion, helps high earners.
I agree.
She's putting $7,500 into the traditional TSP. She can't make a Roth IRA contribution. You know what the limit for Janet this year in 2025, on paper, she could put $8,000 into a Roth IRA, but she can't. The minimum is too high. But in 2026, the catch-up contribution will take the place of her Roth IRA.
No, I got you.
Put more money into the.
All I'm saying is, I think people are going to be surprised. I think I'm going to be meeting people in 2027. They're going to say, "Oh, hey, I don't know how I got that money in Roth, And by the way, my taxes went up, and I don't know why. I'm just saying. I think the people that aren't listening to this, reading about it, are going to be surprised.
And Dan, you made a point there. I got to pay the taxes now. Why do you think Congress did this? Why do you think Congress making the Roth making more opportunities to get money into Roth?
Accelerated revenue opportunity.
Exactly. Congress wants the taxes now. They want the money now.
Sure.
So pay us now, then you get a freebie down the line. No taxes down.
And it can be a big freebie.
Big freebie.
Okay. It could be a really big freebie if you invest that TSP properly. And now I'll throw in a plug. Don't miss Ed's TSP webinars and his financial planning webinars, because he's going to give you some foundations there. And if you want to go deeper, we can talk to you about that as well. So Ed, you have a really cool scenario in here that I wouldn't have thought about. And that was a Fed who was also a reservist.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, walk us through that, because I guarantee you nobody else is thinking about that one.
Yeah, I was thinking about it as I was writing the column. As you know, Dan, there are two TSP opportunities here. First of all, you have the civilian TSP for federal employees. But members of the uniformed services, also have a TSP account. So if a federal employee is a reservist, they're in the reserves, and they go on active duty, they also can, in addition to contributing to the civilian TSP, traditional and Roth, they also, when they go on active duty, have a part of their compensation go into the uniformed services TSP account. They can do both. Now they can't max out on both each year. They did like I said, like this year in 2025, the limit for contributing to the TSP is 23,500 regular contributions, 7,500 catch up for a total of for 31,000. So a federal employee who's in the reserves could not contribute 31,000 to the civilian TSP, and then also 31,000 to the uniformed services TSP. The TSP keeps a total here. The total amounts have to be under for the limits. All right. Now, suppose we have a individual this year in 2025, and I use the example. I'm going to read the example. His name is Michael. He's 51. He's a federal employee. He's earning $150,000 during 2025. Michael is also enrolled in the Federal Employee Health Insurance Program and expects to pay $11,000 in FEHB program insurance premiums during 2025. So what is going to be his Social Security wages? $150,000 less $11,000, or $139,000. That's going to be his Social Security wages during 2025. Michael is also a member of the Ready Reserves and expects to earn $8,000 while on active duty during 2025. Okay? He's not contributing any portion of his uniform service compensation to the TSP, but here's the point. The $8,000 that Michael is going to be earning as a member of the Ready Reserves is subject to Social Security taxes. and Medicare Part A. It's the Social Security. So when you combine the W-2s, Michael's getting a W-2 from his federal job. We said his Social Security wages is $139,000. He's going to get a W-2 from the Uniform Services. What's going to be his Social Security wages on his Uniform Services? $8,000. Add $139,000 and $8,000. And $8,000. $139,000 civilian W-2 box 3. $8,000 Uniform Services W-2 box 3. $139,000 plus $8,000 is $147,000.
Yep.
So what's going to happen during 2026? If Michael contributes makes catch-up contributions to his TSP, which TSP account does he have to contribute to? The Roth TSP, because his combined Social Security wages for 2025 is over $147,000, and therefore for 2026 his catch-up contributions have to go to the Roth TSP.
Gotcha. And Ed, sort of your final question, you touched on it a little bit earlier, but I think it bears revisiting. Your final question addresses the relationship between Roth catch-up and contributing to Roth IRA. Yeah. So let's highlight that point again from your article.
I get this, in order to answer this question, I get this question quite often. I'm sure you hear this also.
Sure.
Ed, Dan, here's something. I got a federal employee. I would love to contribute to the Roth TSP. I would love to. I saw some IRS rules that if your adjusted gross income is too high, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to contribute to the Roth TSP. Not true. Not true. Well, you contribute to the Roth TSP, therefore. Suppose an employee puts their entire amount, like this year, they put $31,000 into the Roth TSP, the maximum. They're version 50. Will that have any effect on their eligibility to put the maximum into, or any amount of money into the Roth IRA? How much if somebody over 50 could put $8,000 in? And the answer is it might. It might. And the reason I say that is because when you contribute to the Roth TSP, you're using after-tax salary. The $31,000 in this example here, if the person's single and their adjusted gross income is $150,000, it's going to stay at $150,000 when they contribute $31,000 into the Roth TSP. The limit for a single person to contribute to the Roth IRA this year, I believe, is their AGI cannot exceed $146,000. They're over the limit. They're not going to be allowed to contribute to a Roth IRA. Now, if the employee had put $31,000 $31,000 into the traditional TSP, their AGI would have reduced down to $119,000, and that would have allowed them to contribute to the Roth IRA. There's a trade-off here.
Gotcha.
So,
no, good points. And again, these are the things that the people aren't going to run across on their own. So, brother, it's awesome that you're always thinking about this, always writing it, putting it out there for people to find. And we're going to keep working to help people find it even easier. So, folks, please, this is important stuff, especially this one. A lot of people are going to be surprised. So please share this one with those friends and colleagues. And Ed, I'll say, as I always do, I want to thank you for being such a great resource for the feds and for us and for everybody.
You're welcome. My pleasure. But I just want to mention about this something started this year with the TSP that employees that employees should be aware of. If you're a federal employee and you're going to be age 60, age 61, or 62, or 63 this year, in plain English, what that means is if you're a federal employee and you were born between January 1st, 1965, and between January 1st, 1965 and December 31st, 1968, you're going to be 60, 61, 62, or 63 this year. That's by my math. If I'm wrong, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong about that. Okay.
I think you're good.
Right. I don't know if you're aware of this, but you can put extra money into the TSP, extra joint, and that extra amount of money is $11,250, not $7,500. It's actually $7,500 plus another $3,400 and $3,400 and I think it's $3,400 and $3,250. $3,250. That's half of $7,500 for a total of $11,250. But only if you're going to be 60, 61, 62, 63. My question is this: for employees who are going to be who are going to be 60, 61, 62, 63 during 2026 with this new rule, will this additional amount, this additional amount of catch-up have to also go to the Roth TSP? We're talking, the additional amount this year is $3,250. I've not gotten an answer yet. I'm sure IRS will come out eventually about that. But I have a feeling the answer is going to be yes. They can't say, well,
I think so too.
Yeah, you can put that extra amount into I got a feeling the answer is going to be no. All of it has to go in this case here. In this year, all 11,250 has to go to the Roth TSP, just like all the $7,500 for those employees who are not going to be 60, 61, 63 has to go to the Roth TSP.
Another great point. I'm glad you dropped that in there. Folks, you're not going to get this anywhere else. So keep coming back. There's about a little over 3,200 now folks that have subscribed. That's awesome. But that's only about, a third of all the people who are actually watching these things. So that means there's a huge chunk out there that haven't subscribed. Subscribe. So that way this stuff's going to get to you. You don't have to go looking for it. It's also going to help your fellow feds find it, because then the YouTube algorithm's going to say, wow, feds like this. This is good stuff. We're going to show it to more people. And that's where we're putting it out into the universe. Ed, thank you for that.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Well, folks, that's a wrap. We are, say it with me, serving those who serve. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast, as I just asked, and share it with friends, strangers. Throw in a couple of enemies. You'll make a couple of new friends. And don't forget our live webinars every single week. Head over to swserve.com. You'll see the webinar button. Click on it. You're going to see the whole menu pop up. We've got everything in there. We've got new ones on discontinued service, retirement, FIRA. So you ask, we answer. We put it out there. We've got stuff for special provisions people that you're just not going to find anywhere else. We're happy to do that for you. But the biggest thing is that the guru will come to you, reach you where you are, teach you where you are, and above all, serve you where you are. Sign up for one, sign up for all. Be sure to read Ed every single week in the Fed Zone. That's fed-zone.com. We amplify a couple of the articles in these, but there are other ones in there, and they are all gold, all have great examples to help you understand it. So if you really want to get the most out of your federal benefits, bookmark that page. Make it your homepage. So you can hit us up at blog.swserve.com, also at fed-zone.com. You can get there either way. So signing off for Ed, the crew at Serving Those Who Serve, and me, Dan Sipe, I'm closing, as I always do, by saying good luck, Godspeed, and above all, remember, it's your Fed life. Make it a great one, because you deserve it. Stay well, everybody. We are out.